going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hollywood Highlights. This is my movie and TV news episode. I do this every single Monday, even though this will be reaching you on a Tuesday. Sorry for anybody who's been waiting for this video. I've had kind of a crazy work schedule, and trying to find time to get this video done has been a little bit difficult. I had to skip last week's top 5 rundown, so starting after this, I'm hoping everything's going to be back on regular schedule. But nonetheless, here's Hollywood Highlights. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Got a few new things that dropped on the new Power Rangers movie. We got a whole bunch of posters showing the Power Rangers and their new Zords. Really don't show a whole lot unless you really know what these different dinosaurs are that these different characters have. It's really hard to kind of pick out what these Zords are. It kind of just shows like their shoulder. But nonetheless, they are pretty cool looking posters. They look like they're really taking this movie seriously. They got the tagline at the bottom, "Go Go," with the little lightning bolt. So, I'm curious about this. I was a big Power Rangers fan when I was little on the first iteration of Power Rangers. Once they started getting into Neo and Dino Force and all that other stuff, I kind of lost interest. I only liked the original one. And part of me wants them to really succeed with this, because I think this is a property that could be really cool and really relevant to kids of today. So, I know if it looks good, I'll take my son and my daughter to go see it. I'm sure they'll love it. So I'm rooting for this movie. I'm going to have to wait for the first trailer to really know what I'm going to think about it. Also, they have finally announced the casting for a character that we didn't really realize they were going to cast, and that was Alpha 5. So for those of you who remember the original series, that was a little robot, had like a little UFO head, and he'd walk around, ay, 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 ay. That guy. He's going to be casted as Bill Hader. So everybody knows Bill Hader from a lot of like the Judd Apatow movies. He's a really funny guy. He had a lot of success with Trainwreck a couple years ago. So interesting casting choice. I don't know how they're going to stick to that portrayal of that character. I don't think he's going to be a robot if you're getting Bill Hader to do it, unless he's just going to do the voice. They've got a lot of pretty big names in this. They got Bill Hader, they got Elizabeth Banks playing Rita Repulsa, they've got Bryan Cranston playing Zordon, for Christ's sake. This movie has got a lot going for it, and I just hope they don't screw it up. So like I said, gonna wait for the first trailer, but some interesting stuff. Every time I hear about this movie, it seems to be heading in the right direction. Magnum P.I. fans, you might finally be getting a continuation of your story that you know and love of Thomas Magnum. However, it might not be the story that you're looking for. Lily, his daughter, is going to be the head of a Magnum P.I. reboot for ABC. They're trying to get this going. They're writing the script right now, so nothing's confirmed yet, but Lily apparently is his daughter, who starred in 4 episodes of the original series. The series finale involved Magnum leaving behind his life as a private investigator to provide a stable life for his daughter, Lily. Now it looks like she's going to be taking on the mantle of private investigating, because they're looking for her to be the new lead. I don't know if this is the right way to go or not. I've never seen any of the Magnum P.I. shows, but I know it's a very, very popular series. It's my dad's favorite show pretty much of all time from back in the day. I don't know if Tom Selleck's going to be involved in this at all. If he is, I guess that'd be kind of cool if he's just going to be kind of a side character, but I know he's got a lot of different things going on that he's always doing. I just don't know. I don't know if this is the answer that they're going to be looking for, all the old school Magnum P.I. fans, and I don't feel like there's going to be anybody new really looking to jump on the Magnum P.I. train just because they kind of do a gender swap in the main role. So we'll have to see. This might not even come to fruition, but just to me, I'm not sure if this is the right way to go for a Magnum P.I. reboot. Well, Rings has been pushed back once again. This movie has been pushed back 3 times so far. It was originally slated to come out October 28th of this year. Now it is going to be pushed to February of next year, which is not a very confident release date. I talked about the Rings trailer 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I was never a fan of the original Ring. I never saw Ring 2, and this Rings trailer didn't impress me at all. I have no love or ties to the Ring series. I don't care about this movie whatsoever, so it doesn't bother me. However, there's a lot of people out there who love The Ring. People swore by that movie when it came out, said it was the scariest movie ever. The whole scene at the end with the girl on the TV was like top 5 scariest moments ever. It never worked for me. I never got it. I never was scared by it, was never intrigued by it, so I don't care that this movie is moving. But for those of you who are just Ring fanatics, unfortunately, moving to a February release date from a Halloween-focused release date for a horror movie tells me that they have no confidence in this movie. February and January are kind of the dumping ground for movies. That's where they stick movies that they think are going to fail, because, you're just before the summer season, you're just after the big Oscar push season, so that's kind of like the downtime movie season. So that's where they shove all the shit bombs. That's where they shove all the movies they have no confidence in. They know they're not going to make their money back on it, so Not very confident, not very promising move on rings. Another delay, which is actually opposite from that last story and is actually heading to an optimistic release date, is the Friday the 13th reboot slash sequel slash remake, whatever the hell this is going to end up being. This movie has been talked about and talked about and talked about for years. I do not understand why it has taken them so long to make a Friday the 13th movie. I mean, that remake that they did, it wasn't a perfect movie, but it was a pretty damn good Friday the 13th movie, because Friday the 13th movies are very basic. You don't need to do anything with it. You just literally, you make Jason look good, make him look cool, you get some halfway decent actors that look attractive, you set him free in the woods, horny as hell, and you set Jason after him, and that's really all you need to do. And I thought that they pulled that one off pretty good. They could have had some more inventive kills, but other than that, it was pretty successful, especially financially, so it's always kind of intrigued me why it's taken so long for them to figure out some other way to get Jason back on the screen. But it looks like they're going to take even longer, because they've moved it from January 13th of next year to October 13th of 2017. And it's probably because it was in direct competition with Live by Night. You know, my birthday is January 12th, so I know all the movies that are coming out that weekend. And I would have definitely seen Live by Night over Friday the 13th. And the last story that they were coming up with for this, that they were really promoting, was some sort of an origin story for the Voorhees family, and it was going to include, you know, Pamela Voorhees, the mother, and it was going to include the father, and it was going to show how Jason came to be. And God, that is the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard for a Friday the 13th movie, because I mean, this is Halloween all over again. Nobody is asking for an origin story for these classic horror movie characters. It never works. It didn't work for Halloween. I know there's people out there who love Rob Zombie's movies. I'm not one of them. It did not work for Nightmare on Elm Street when they tried to do a new mystery origin for Freddy. It's not going to work for Jason. Least of all for Jason. Jason is the one who needs the least amount of story. He's a fucking zombie that carries around a machete. You don't need any explanation for that. So, I don't know. I hope that they're taking more time because they realize how stupid of an idea that they had, and they really want to try to make a good, tight, trim the fat, classic Friday the 13th horror movie, and that's what they need to make. They don't need to try to do anything inventive. Don't try to do anything new. Don't try to put a new spin on Jason. Just make the kills inventive, and you will be amongst the best of the Friday the 13th movies, because that's all those movies are good for. Tits and kills. Sony Pictures Animation is continuing to make some very strange decisions for animated movies that they're greenlighting. Probably in response to how successful Angry Birds was, we are now going to be getting a Fruit Ninja movie. The story for this is being dubbed as a family comedy which centers on a team of misfits who are recruited to become fruit ninjas in order to save the world. Could you find a more generic storyline for a Fruit Ninja movie? Not that I can come up with a better one, because that's grasping at straws for storylines and for known properties to get your movie out there and make a few dollars. I have no interest in this. I mean, it's really hard to judge animated movies ahead of time, because you have movies that end up being phenomenal, like the Lego movie, that when you read it on paper that they're going to make a movie based off of Legos, you're like, that is going to be some garbage. And then look how awesome that turned out. So I always try to remain cautiously optimistic with stuff like this, but this, to me, this is hard to be cautiously optimistic. This is just a dumb idea. So I have no interest in this, but once they get done with their, you know, Emojis movie and all that other stuff that they've got on their little slate, look out for a Fruit Ninja movie coming from Sony Pictures Animation. Well, we got a few details that dropped on the new Jumanji sequel slash reboot that's coming out with The Rock and Kevin Hart. I've actually been pretty optimistic about this movie. When I first heard it, I was thinking, oh God, they're just going to make it some stupid PG-13 comedy, and it's just not going to work at all. You know, they're just coming off the success of Central Intelligence, and they're just going to try to throw them into another movie together because people like them. And what sold me on this movie was The Rock, because he went on his Instagram and he was like, hey guys, you know, I'm a big fan of the original. We're going to pay total respect to Robin Williams. We're going to totally pay respect to the original movie. We're not going to reboot this. This is a sequel. This is a continuation of that story. And there's going to be a lot of love letters and a lot of tribute to Robin Williams' character in this new movie. So the fact that The Rock was so passionate about paying tribute to the original convinced me. And I'll remain convinced until I see a bad trailer or until I see the movie and decide that it's either worth all the time that I was convinced or I was wrong the entire time. But the way that the pictures have been rolling out, this does look pretty good as far as the production value. It looks a little bit on the nose with the Jumanji stuff. It looks kind of, you know, like The Rock's character looks like Indiana Jones, and you know, the girl who's in it looks like Lara Croft. I mean, it looks very on the nose, but the plot details that they just released for this now makes all of that make total sense. Apparently, the plot details for Jumanji is now going to be that the kids in the movie are playing a video game version of Jumanji, and The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and the girl, I forget her name, they are all going to be playing the avatars. So you have The Rock, he's like the big muscular, you know, Indiana Jones looking guy. You've got Jack Black, kind of the chubby professor. Kevin Hart's kind of the fish out of water, the little tiny explorer guy who looks like he's going to run away screaming as soon as he sees a mosquito. And then you got the Lara Croft character. So now it makes sense why they're so on the nose with the kind of cliched jungle looking characters. And I gotta be honest, it just excites me for the movie more. That seems like a perfect way to bring the story of Jumanji into today's time, that it's a video game. It makes total sense to me. And the way that they look in these pictures, I could see some comedy gold coming out of that. And just, I'm really optimistic about this movie. I'm not optimistic about most remakes. I do agree with, you know, the people's ability to make remakes. I never trash them for their attempts to make something different, but this movie actually has my optimism, and it's keeping it, because just everything I'm hearing about this sounds great. And the character names for these guys are actually pretty damn funny too when you hear them out loud. You got Kevin Hart's character is Moose Finbar. We've already known that Dr. Smolder Bravestone is going to be the character that The Rock is playing. You got Professor Shelley Oberon, who is Jack Black's character, and you have Ruby Roundhouse, who is Karen Gillan. That was her name. Karen Gillan is going to be playing Ruby Roundhouse. So these sound like little cheesy video game avatar names, and like I said, I'm excited as hell for this movie. Equalizer fans, you've got a sequel coming out. The first Equalizer was a really big success. It was directed by Antoine Fuqua, starred Denzel Washington. It was a remake of the old television show, The Equalizer. It was a movie that I enjoyed it quite a bit. It wasn't my favorite Denzel Washington movie. It wasn't even my favorite Antoine Fuqua movie, but it was definitely a good action movie. It was a really cool character for Denzel Washington. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so it doesn't surprise me they're going to be doing a sequel. And the script was just finished. It's the same writer as the first. It is Richard Wenk. It's set to begin filming in September of next year. Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington are expected to return, which I don't know why you would continue if those two weren't coming back, because those are the two you need to continue this franchise. And what's kind of exciting about this too, this is the only sequel that Denzel will have ever done. So it's kind of cool that he's actually starting to try to look for like a franchise for himself, because usually he just does a bunch of different roles. You know, he worked a lot with Tony Scott, but it was always different characters. It was always different concepts. And it looks like Antoine Fuqua is kind of his new director of choice to work with, because, you know, he's done 3 movies with him now. He did Training Day, he did The Equalizer, the first one, he just got done with The Magnificent Seven, which I loved, and now they're going to be doing another one. So they are a great combo. I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing with this next one. Hopefully they ratchet up the action and give us a pretty kick-ass sequel. Well, John Carpenter's got some pretty choice words for Rob Zombie. I wanted to do this story last because it's one of those things where unless you're involved in the party, it really isn't that relevant to news, but it is interesting to talk about. So I saw everybody kind of lighten up Facebook talking about this movie. So, you know, I saw everybody kind of lighten up Facebook talking about this whole thing, so I figured I might as well kind of give my little stance on it. Basically, John Carpenter was doing this little film student Q&A. And one of the people came up and asked him about his thoughts on the Rob Zombie remake Halloween. And he kind of went on a tangent about some stuff and then finally came back to the question. And he said, well, the thing about Rob Zombie, and I'll read his actual quote. He said, he lied about me. He said that I was very cold to him when he told me that he was going to make Halloween. Nothing could be further from the truth. I said, make it your own movie, man. This is yours now. Don't worry about me. I was incredibly supportive. Why that piece of shit lied, I don't know. He had no reason to. Why did he do it? And so basically what happened was Rob Zombie was featured on some kind of a documentary talking about Halloween. And whenever they got to Rob Zombie's segment, he said that, you know, John Carpenter was very cold and very unappreciative that he was remaking Halloween and kind of gave him the cold shoulder. And John Carpenter's saying now that obviously none of that is true. So, I mean, it's one of those things you don't really know who to believe. You know, do you believe Rob Zombie? Do you believe John Carpenter? I like John Carpenter more than I like Rob Zombie, so I like to tend to agree with him more, and it sounds a little bit more it sounds a little bit more plausible. I don't know why you would have that big of a deal with him remaking Halloween when they've made countless horrible sequels of Halloween that he has not been involved with. So, I mean, he hasn't really been involved with Halloween since the original, so I don't see why he would have such bad blood for that. But anyway, then they went on to ask him, to elaborate on his thoughts on the movie, and he said, well, frankly, all that will color my response to the film. If I take that away, I did not like it. I thought that he took away the mystique of the story by explaining too much about the guy. I don't care about that. It's supposed to be a force of nature. He's supposed to be almost supernatural, and he was too big. It wasn't normal. And I think the majority of us, especially the ones who are diehard fans of the original, would tend to agree. The Halloween and Halloween 2 movie by Rob Zombie are the only two Rob Zombie movies that I can somewhat enjoy. There's parts of it that I like. I think Halloween 2 is actually probably his best movie. But the things that he tried to do in Halloween, like I already was talking about on the Friday the 13th reboot, is he tried to explain too much about Michael Myers. He tried to turn him into this sympathetic character and come up with all these reasons why he ended up being who he was, when the reality of it is the person who does not have all the explanation and all the backstory and is just like this evil force is so much scarier. The reason Michael Myers is so scary in that first movie is because he just is. There's no explanation. He just picks up a knife, kills his sister, and now he is the Shape. And I prefer that to all the white trash family drama that he tried to put into his remake. So, interesting story that John Carpenter has all this bad blood against Rob Zombie. Maybe Rob Zombie deserved it. Maybe he's bitter about his movie being remade, and this is his, chance years later to kind of throw shade at Rob Zombie. Who knows? But interesting story nonetheless. All right, guys, moving on to trailer talk. The first trailer we had is actually a trailer that I've been waiting for quite a while, which is Passengers. This stars Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. This movie has been talked about for quite a while. It's going to be like this sci-fi romance epic where basically you have a group of people who are going on this space journey where they're going to be cryogenically frozen or in some kind of hypersleep until they get there. It's a 100-year journey, and Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence are woken up only 10 years into the journey, so 90 years before they're supposed to reach their destination, and they have no idea why. And the trailer was damn good, and I've always been intrigued by this movie because I know there was much more to this movie than what they are marketing. The only thing that they were talking about with this movie from the time they announced it until this trailer dropped was the sex scene between Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. That's all the articles were talking about, was how uncomfortable she was because she's friends with him and she's friends with Anna Faris, who is Chris Pratt's wife. How did you prepare for this? Jennifer Lawrence's first sex scene on screen. And, by the time this trailer came out, it was like, a new Passengers trailer. I was like, oh, okay, hopefully it's more than Mystique fucking Star-Lord in space. So, and it was. The trailer looks really good. It looks very well done. I like how Michael Sheen's got kind of the little android bartender character. He almost looks like the dude from The Shining. And the trailer intrigues me a lot. I think it's going to be a really good movie to see on Christmas. I hope that this movie delivers, because the only thing that worries me, I don't think that they needed to kind of tease this in the trailer. They're teasing a big plot twist already. The trailer ends with him saying, I know why we were awakened. And all that tells me is that they're trying to get people into the theaters by a promise of a twist, instead of just trusting that people are going to like seeing these two stars together and like this premise and like their chemistry enough to go and see it. They gotta put that M. Night Shyamalan little feelers out there. It'll come because 2/3 of the movie there's gonna be a huge plot twist and you're gonna have your minds blown. And that worries me, just because it's a weird marketing choice for me. Something that I thought of when I was watching this trailer, and I don't know why I couldn't get it out of my head, was that I just thought how funny it would be if the trailer took a turn and like it shows Chris Pratt running around and he's like, why am I awake? And nobody's there. And then just show a scene where he finds all the pods where everybody's asleep and one of them just opens and the thing comes up and there's a bunch of fog and like Roseanne Barr steps out and he's just like, oh, no, something like that. I want to see a comedy parody of this movie, like Hollywood, if you're watching, bring us that movie, because that shit sounds hilarious. Get Jennifer Lawrence or Chris Pratt to be stuck for 90 years with somebody that they are absolutely just repulsed by. The second trailer I saw was the Red Band trailer for Bad Santa 2. Now, I'd seen the trailer and the teaser before. I talked about it in previous episodes. I believe it was on my audio podcast before I came to YouTube. But I said pretty much that, I was not a fan of the original Bad Santa. Everybody was all over that movie whenever it came out, and I just never got it. It was one of the few movies where I watch it and I honestly felt like there was too much cussing. It was like every third word was a cuss word, and just like Sausage Party, it kind of just, it wore me down by about the 15-minute mark, and I was just kind of numb to their version of the humor in that movie. Now, that first trailer that came out did not change my opinion. I was like, well, I like that Kathy Bates is in it, but this doesn't really interest me. This second trailer, however, this looks hilarious. And a lot of it is because of Kathy Bates. Like, her interaction and her back and forth at just being volatile at Billy Bob Thornton and him being volatile to her right back. I mean, their mother and son, it looks like it's going to be really damn funny if most of the movie focuses on their relationship. The basic plot is that you got Billy Bob Thornton is again trying to do like a heist. He was stealing stuff in the first movie, and Kathy Bates is his mom, and they're teaming up to take on basically robbing this charity. So that's the basic idea of it. It's probably not going to be too deep. It's just going to be set up for jokes. But like I said, this second trailer actually surprised the hell out of me. It looks pretty damn funny. So go ahead and check out the trailer. Let me know if you guys are big fans of Bad Santa and if you are looking forward to the sequel. The next trailer that I watched was, again, it was a comedy, and this was Fistfight. And this was, the trailer opens up and it's basically showing all these epic showdowns, like, Ali and Frazier and Tupac and Biggie and Batman and Superman. And then it cuts to Ice Cube's face, and he's like, I'm gonna fight you after school. And then it cuts over to Charlie Day. So the only bit of story we're really getting in this trailer is that, okay, Ice Cube's a teacher, he's mad at Charlie Day, who's a teacher, and they're gonna fight after school. And Charlie Day basically spends the rest of the trailer running from Ice Cube, trying to get somebody to help him, trying to save his life. And it had a few good funny parts in it, like whenever he called up the police office and they told him to go back and take that ass whooping, like that actually had me laughing. But I'm not really a fan of Ice Cube as a leading man in comedies. Very few that he's done besides Friday, which he wrote, have I honestly liked. I was not a fan of either of the ride-alongs. I liked the first, Are We There Yet? But the Are We Home Yet was horrible. I'm worried about it. I'm cautiously optimistic because I like the two leads, and the trailer had a few good funny parts, but it's always kind of a catch-22 whenever you watch a comedy trailer, because on one side you don't want them to give away the best jokes, but you also want them to give you enough to really hook you in. And it's a really hard balance to strike with a trailer, because most trailers give away too much. You get to the movie and you feel like you've known all the best parts, and some trailers don't show you enough. You never go see the movie, and then you find out after the movie's been out for months how funny it was. So this movie, I'll probably end up seeing it. I just hope that it's not going to be a one-note movie the entire way through, because Charlie Day looks like he's playing the same character he played in Horrible Bosses. But we'll have to see with that one. The next trailer I watched, this trailer, King Cobra. I knew nothing about this movie. All I saw was a picture of James Franco on the front of it. You guys know I like James Franco. So I click it, and this trailer starts, and this movie stars James Franco, Christian Slater, Molly Ringwald, Alicia Silverstone, just a wild cast. And this movie is basically about this young, up-and-coming gay porn star who is managed by Christian Slater, and James Franco and his boyfriend slash lover slash partner want this, the main character to be in a video with them, and Christian Slater's not having it, and James Franco and Christian Slater get kind of violent towards each other, and this trailer was like a car wreck. It was something that I felt like I did not need to watch, and I should not watch any longer, but I could not turn away, and I could not click off of it. It was just fascinating for some reason. This movie looks so insane. It looks hilarious, but like graphically weird, and goes in directions that I probably don't want to spend 90 minutes in, but at the same time, I'm kind of intrigued too. Like, I don't know what to feel about this trailer. It was so bizarre, but I don't even know what to say about it. Just go watch the King Cobra trailer. Like, seriously, like, if you comment on anything in this whole video, go watch the King Cobra trailer and comment below with your thoughts on that trailer so we can talk about this, because I don't even know what the hell to say about this movie or this trailer. it's out there. It exists. That's all I can say. All right. The last trailer that I watched was for The Flash Season 3. So I'm a big fan of The Flash TV show. I loved Season 1. I loved Season 2. Wasn't quite as good as Season 1, but still very, very good stuff. And Season 3 I'm excited about because it's going to be, to some degree, taking on the story of Flashpoint, which is one of the few Flash comics that I've actually read. And I love that comic book a lot. You know, it's a really cool one-shot story. It ended up setting up an entirely new DC rebooted universe in the comics. You know, when they had their New 52, the Flashpoint series kind of kickstarted all that. And basically what the story of Flashpoint is Barry Allen wakes up and he's not the Flash. And he's the only person who can remember him being the Flash. But his mother's alive, his father's alive, like everything's all different. And, well, you know, I mean, spoiler alert, I guess, but this story is so old and it shows it in the trailer. Basically, he saves his mom at the end of Season 2. And so now, after saving his mom, this huge ripple effect has gone through, and now he's not the Flash anymore. But then he starts to remember things, and his memories start getting pulled away from him, and he's stuck in this world where shit's just going bananas, and he needs to be the Flash. But he's not the Flash, and he needs to, you know, he needs to decide, do I want this version of my timeline or do I want the old version of my timeline? You know, there's things here that are amazing, but there's things here that are horrible. There's things here that are amazing, but my mom's not alive. So it's just this real huge inner turmoil of Barry Allen as a character. And like I said, I don't know to what degree this season is going to go into that story. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere near the craziness of that story because you got like Batman and the Atlanteans and all that kind of stuff, which are not going to be in this, but I think it's just going to be focusing on the Barry Allen side of it. And this trailer really showed that. You know, it showed a lot more interaction with Barry and Wally West, who is Kid Flash in this, who is a character who I took a long time to get on board with in Season 2. You know, he was a really abrasive kind of punk character whenever he first came in. You know, he was just bitching at Joe for this and, you know, bitching at Barry Allen for this. And I was just like, I don't like this guy. And then kind of out of nowhere, they kind of switched the writing of his character. And now all of a sudden he was like a pretty decent character. He was decent to be around. So I want to see that character impress me. I want to see him kind of win me over. And from what I've seen in this trailer, they have a really good interaction and it looks really cool. They showed little tiny bits of the villains, not a whole lot. But they showed a lot more repercussions of the Flashpoint storyline, which is what I'm most interested in. You know, I don't know if this is going to be the first 3 or 4 episodes is going to be Flashpoint, or if it's just going to be the premiere and then he goes back. I mean, I don't know. I hope that all this lead up to Flashpoint doesn't get resolved in just a couple episodes. You know, Supernatural, as much as I love it, they have a bad habit of doing that sometimes, where they end the season on a really crazy twist or cliffhanger, teasing what's to come in the next 22 to 24 episodes, and then they resolve that in the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then what you get is a completely different story than you thought you were going to get. You know, they did it with the whole thing with Castiel being, you know, God. They did it with Dean being a demon, and, you know, I'm not going to get on a tangent on Supernatural, but I hope it doesn't do that with The Flash, where it's Flashpoint for the first 2 episodes, and then we get just another season of Barry Allen trying to chase another speedster. So I like this trailer a lot. This is going to be premiering on October 4th. I can't wait for this. You know, I can wait for Arrow. I can't wait for The Flash. You know, I love this show. If you haven't seen any of The Flash, definitely get on with it because it is a really great, fun, enjoyable show. They have time travel, a bunch of science fiction elements, but also they're very grounded as a superhero show. And they really nail the fun factor of a superhero show and what that should be. So if you haven't seen The Flash, the first 2 seasons should be on Netflix. I know the first one is for sure, but definitely check those out. It's a great show. Well, that does it for this episode of Hollywood Highlights, guys. Please put your comments below on any of these stories or trailers or anything that I talked about, especially that King Cobra trailer. And please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button so you can come back and see me next Monday with Hollywood Highlights. And I have a ton of videos coming to you guys. Part of the reason why I've been so busy and haven't gotten these normal videos out, I have a Snowden review. I've finally seen the movie. I've got a review on Alter Bridge's new album, The Last Hero, coming out. I've got a review on BioShock PS4. I've got a review on the second episode of Batman or Telltale series. I've got a ton of stuff coming. Mr. Robot Season 2. So there's a lot of videos coming your guys' way, and I'm going to work hard to make sure that they're really good, so please look out for those. Like I said, like and share this video, click that subscribe button, come back and see me again, and if that's not soon enough, you can click right over here to check out a few more right now.